Right, welcome, guys. Hope everybody is well. So rare, obviously, start for us this morning. We have started with a loss, and so started with a loss, and so hasn't obviously happened to us for a while. But you know what? It is what it is. Can't obviously complain. This is obviously all part of the market. And I think it's something that people don't speak about often. All right, and I thought maybe I'll start, before we go into some charts, I'll start by speaking about the truths. All right, even the best hedge fund traders in the world, do not have 100% winning streak. All right, you're always gonna hit losses, and obviously going from swing trading to intraday trading to scalping, the lower the time frame you go, the more chance of a loss, you're going to incur. If you're swing trading three trades for a month, but you're then intraday trading, I don't know, say six trades a day, or four to six trades a day, and then obviously you are scalping, where you're turning that six into, I don't know, 20. Then there is obviously more chance you're going to incur losses on 20, more chance you're going to incur on six intraday. But obviously swing, you're going to have less losses. But obviously everything is within its ratio, and however you're trading, you got to allocate that. Right, if I'm taking 20 trades a day, I've got to expect to lose eight. Or if you're we've obviously got, I think, a really good um you know record, in regards to, because we're intraday, we're obviously quite conservative as well. I'm really happy with our overall record, and so, but these are all things that you've got to take into consideration. And I know the biggest lesson, the hardest thing for me to swallow, was learning to lose. And I think as a trader, you've got to learn to lose very well. So, a trade hits, stop loss, you've got to smile, laugh about it, and be like, you know what, we've had all these green days here. Markets paid us. We've obviously got to, accept that at some stage we're going to have to give the market back some of its money. Um, what losses obviously also highlight, all right, is, are you holding your winners, long enough? All right, so it's all well and good having all these green days here, but if your green days are obviously smaller than your red days, then you're going to be in trouble. And I'm pretty confident that I can turn today round. We've obviously got two setups. So one's obviously active, one's pending. And we've obviously got this afternoon as well, and so that's obviously one thing that we can work on. But obviously, yeah, that was one thing that I wanted to, speak about before we get into any charts. The other thing, which I've got a few of you guys to trial out. So the other thing that is pending is the platform here. So I've added loads of things yesterday and today. We've got risk calculator on here. I've got a course. On the course, it'll ask you questions, so you can go through it a few times. Make sure you get them right. We've got a little bit on, pairs, what their personality is, all of these things here. So, like I said, I've given you guys a few, or a few of you, this to kind of trial out, snag, which, yeah, there's been a couple of snags which I've been told about, which I've implemented. So yeah, but obviously it breaks down everything, from obviously what you should be looking at on these particular pairs. And I do think that this is going to help everyone more than any, staring at any economic calendar. It's going to give you the outlooks of, interest rates, how hawkish, every one is, all of these, things here. It's going to really help you. And then one thing I've added this morning, because, someone asked, is a pair intelligence tool. So you can generate this at any time. Um, and obviously the goal is if all of these line up, then that's obviously going to give you the overall outlook here, and so it's going to really, really help everyone. Right. Hopping onto the charts. So let's obviously have a little bit of an outlook at the moment as to what is happening and why. So it's a very, very hard week, this week to trade, because we've got what we potentially believe to be true that there's a meeting set up today with obviously Trump and Iran. I'm not sure what time it is, but then we've got Iran coming out that they've not agreed to this meeting. So Trump is purely manipulating everything, and obviously it's making trading very, very hard, very hard. Last week or the last couple of weeks have been easy. They've been really easy, and obviously we've done really, really well. This week is hard because we don't know really what the overall outlook is. We've also got non-farm payroll, which everyone's gearing up. We've got some news today as well on the dollar, so we've obviously had GDP on the pound, which has come out, round about as expected. But obviously, we've got some PMI data and some consumer confidence data, which is obviously a bit later on in the afternoon as well, so we obviously need to be aware of that. And then, just gearing up for everything that's happening. We've got some inflation data for obviously euro. We got, more PMI data for the dollar, and then the big one is going to be Thursday, which is non-farm payroll. And so we've got to anticipate how markets are going to price everything in, and coupled up with obviously all this rubbish, which is no one knows what's true, what's not true. It's a very, 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 very tricky kind of week to trade, so we kind of want to know one way or the other what is happening here. So going through our pairs, I'd say Aussie is still pretty, neutral to me, still trading in this, kind of area here. Pound is one that's triggered, so I'm happy with this entry. I don't see how pound obviously blew up yesterday. Let's just roughly check the RSI just to, see, whereabouts we're trading. Yeah, we're kind of middle range here, approaching kind of overbought territory here, so let's wait and see. I'm expecting a bit of a drop to the downside here on GBP USD, but yeah, I'm kind of hoping after gold we do trigger this middle entry here. So let's wait and see before we get that tail off. So that's obviously one thing. Euro, I'd stayed away from. It doesn't really interest me. At the moment, I don't like that it kind of made this equal, low here, but now obviously we're reversing quite aggressively. USDJPY, we obviously have to be careful. We're in kind of intervention, status here. Hence why I've put obviously our trigger a little bit lower than everything else, because you've got to expect obviously things like this to happen. And obviously I'm hoping we get that triggers all three and things continues to the upside. I personally think dollar has got more room to the upside than it does to the downside in regards to outlooks. Anything that's going to come out is going to come from Trump. Trump, whenever he speaks, is so positive. And obviously normally when he speaks, it's positive about the dollar. So gold. Love a bit of gold here. First time in a long time, stopped us out very, very quickly. But obviously, it's not really run away with us here. I'm expecting this these lows to be hit, and I just think that this is pure kind of, yeah, manipulation. But like we always, say, what goes down must come up to go back down again, so I do think, can't be obviously helped here. Potentially my higher trigger, which I didn't actually think was going to trigger, would have been here. And obviously that would have been the one to take today. But you know what? It is what it is. Can't grumble too much here. So we've been, we've taken a lot from gold, especially last week. Most of these three days here was gold trades. If I click on this one, I'm pretty sure it was all gold. Gold. So we can't complain too much here. So we've given a bit back this morning, but I'm pretty confident we're going to take that back from the markets and obviously end today nice and green. Right, let's have a look. Um, let's have a look here in regards to what we've got here. Does anyone have any questions? Does anyone have any questions at all? Jeb's morning losses are part of trading. If we never took losses, it wouldn't be trading. Exactly. So that is what it's all about here. So yeah. Does anyone have any questions at all? Happy to answer. We've obviously got Andy in here, who's one of the guys trialing the software. It'd be interesting to get Andy's feedback. And then there's a couple of you in here as well. In regards to obviously what is happening. Can I explain GBP again? Yeah, yeah. So I'm my obviously main thing here, how I trade, and obviously I know obviously what everyone's gonna do. They're gonna draw this up here, and be like, yeah, but GBP USD's in an uptrend, and so yes, I agree. We're obviously in a kind of short term uptrend, but if you zoom out, that there is no uptrend here, and obviously this is where drawing channels are kind of you're biased depending on what time frame you're looking at here, because you could quite easily draw this one here and say, right, well, we're in a downtrend, blah blah blah. So this is obviously where technicals is point of view only. All right. So that's why I use an overall, macro outlook. I believe intraday that the dollar is stronger than the pound. All right, and so that's why I've kind of gone with that direction here. Now, entry wise, yes, the probably highest entry I would have liked or could have done would be this one here. However, you've also got to be realistic in regards to how much obviously GBP moves, and can it recover all the way up here before it comes back and obviously grabs, a couple more orders. Because remember, for anything to kind of, look at this trend, right? It's pumped up, it's come down, it's grabbed all these orders, it's pumped back up again, it's come down, it's grabbed all these orders, it's pumped back up again, it's come down, it's grabbed all these orders, it's pumped back up again, it's come down, it's grabbed all these orders, it's pumped back up again. So there's, we'll wait and see what happens here. We've had one, two, three, four drives to the upside here. I'm actually, looking for a bit of a rollover here into this, main kind of area of liquidity here, where there's been a lot of price action. You can see here, if we continue this, there's been a lot here, so I do think there is a higher probability of price being drawn down into this area. That is what I am, looking at, and that's my outlook. And I do like I'd said, I do believe the dollar overall is, a lot stronger than the pound. The Bank of England, the Bank of England are very, very dovish at the moment, which means, they're a bit bearish, a bit pessimistic, whereas obviously the Federal Reserve are obviously have turned hawkish, so they're a bit more optimistic, a bit more bullish. And obviously these are all things that you got to remember. Remember when we're not trading, bars here. All right, we're trading the pound against the dollar, the British economy against the US economy. All right, that's what we're trading here, and obviously that's why, yeah, my kind of higher probability outlook was for it to tail off to the downside. Um, so yeah, let's have a look here. GBP can you explain? Have done that. MB had a good entry on gold buy, but my mind started playing games now down 4%. You've always got to stick to your kind of outlook. I hear this over and over again. I'm not too humble to admit it, but obviously everyone here is probably in about 10, 12 channels. All right, and you obviously have to commit to whatever you're trading. All right, don't change your mind. All right, everyone's got different eyes here, and there's going to be days where some people are going to get it right, and obviously some people are going to get it wrong. I'm just obviously proud that even when I get it wrong, I can hop on here, explain it, and I'm happy I'd take that trade all over again. So that's what you've got to be looking at, whichever decision that you make in trading, whether you're buying or selling. You've got to commit and own it, and obviously you've also got to understand the reason why you're taking it. One of my biggest things which will change anyone's trading is every single trade that you take, you got to be able to turn to the person next to you and explain exactly why you've taken it. Give them three to five reasons why. If you can do that on every single trade, that's going to stop you over trading. It's going to give you clarity, and you're going to be confident in obviously what you're trading. Adam, he's another one who's trying the software at the moment. So far, it's brilliant. Would be my go-to first thing. Eddie, I know it's hard to figure out at the moment, but with USD up and the rest down, what other confluences do you look at to decide which way to place a trade? So yeah, it's very, very tricky. All right. It's very, very tricky. So what, reason being, I hate at the moment, you got politics, which is have come into trading. And what I mean by politics is we've obviously got tweets. So let's highlight it as politics and media, all right? Because there's so much information in our world at the moment coming in, and we don't know what is right and what's wrong. Some people are doing it for clicks and views, others it's genuine information, and so that's what's making trading really, really hard. And all we can do is analyze what is, happening here. Stock markets are, I would call them roundabout break even. We got yields. I'd also call these, yes, we've obviously just on a lower time frame broken to the low side here, but this next 2 hour candle here is key. Because we could find that we're straight back up trading here, and so yeah. Lena, how would you recommend with the small accounts after the losses today, yesterday afternoon, just with forex pairs to not blow an account? So no one here and no one in this channel should be blowing any accounts, right? We don't trade enough to blow trading accounts, right? And obviously, what I say to everyone is make sure you're obviously risking correctly, because yes, when you're over risking and you win, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. But obviously, if you're under risk, if you're over risking and it goes against you, that's obviously why you're blowing accounts, So what normally happens, and it's normally taking profits early, everyone's account will be doing this, but then one loss will do this, and then everyone's accounts will be doing this, and then one loss will be doing this. So you've actually only lost twice, and you might have won 10 times, all right? So actually, what it should look like is this, right? But what it looks like is this. So just be aware, trade like I've said from yesterday, this week is a week just to trade a bit careful, all right? Because it's not, we're obviously a bit unsure about what is, happening here, until obviously this meeting actually happens, until they agree everything and everything is back under control. So just be a bit careful. Yeah. Does anyone have any more questions? Feel free, message me privately. There is nothing that you guys are going through that I haven't been through. It took me like three and a half years to be profitable. Now, if I'd have done it properly, it should have taken me 12 months. And I shouldn't have ever blown a trading account ever. What ends up happening, and everyone does exactly the same thing, is everyone knows how much they've, lost. Yeah. All right. So everyone knows this number here. All right. It might be 100 quid, 1,000 quid, might be 10K, might be like me, 100. All right. But obviously, then what happens is every new trading account that you create, you're conscious about this. So this arrow here just gets bigger and bigger. Yeah, yes, in the chat, if you know exactly how much money that you've, lost, and if you chase it. Every new account, you tell yourself, I'm not going to chase it. I'm going to trade this properly. Or the best one here, right? Who tells themselves that once I've made this money back, I'm going to trade properly? That's the best one that I hear. Once I've made this money back, I'm going to trade properly. Just come on. I was like that. I was like that for a good 3 years. All right. I hear that from everyone so many times. Once I get, once I've made this money back, I'm going to trade properly. Everyone has. All right. So don't think that you're on you're on your own here. All right, because everyone's like it. All right, and that's the beauty of, having these, lives, having this open chat, is that, the more honest everyone is, the more that you're gonna, kind of feel that you're, not on your own here, and so yeah. But right, that's once made me laugh because it's the best one that I hear. I've heard it so many times. Don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. Once I get back into profit, I'm going to trade properly. Anyway, right. Have a great Tuesday. And yeah, remember, guys, I'm always here. I've been through everything, and obviously I've come out the other end. So, obviously my goal here, my only goal is to make sure that, a proportion of you start to take it in and, yeah, grow. Because remember, all you're trying to do at the beginning is build confidence. All right, so it's going to help you so much more just under trading and building confidence in, holding trades longer, not entering afterwards, just obviously, building your own confidence. That's obviously what the main key is. But no, have a great day, everyone. And yeah, I will keep you updated throughout today.